This year, people in Boston will vote for mayor and city council with a preliminary election on Tuesday, September 26th. There will be 3 open seats on the council, one of them being vacated by Tito Jackson, who currently represents District 7. That district includes most of Roxbury and parts of Dorchester, the South End, and the Fenway. Among those hoping to be the new councilor in District 7 is our guest, Angelina Camacho. Thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you for having me.
First of all, talk about your experience, because you cover so many different areas, whether it's students in the school system, financial literacy. Talk about that.
Well, thank you. That's actually one of my strengths. When we think about what's happening in the district, a lot of the concerns are really around affordable housing, around quality education, and dealing with the income inequalities. And I have experience both direct and volunteer in all of them. I've served with ABCD, with both directly and with partners for the last 11 years in financial empowerment work, especially the city's free tax program. And also I've worked with the Multicultural AIDS Coalition regarding health disparities for about 8 years. And my volunteer work spans across youth development opportunities, helping with kids who are in the detention systems, as well as working with individuals trying to find a safe place to call home.
Well, it seems to me you must have a great call list on your phone. People that you can connect with. How does that help you as a city councilor if you were to win this election?
It helps because the solutions that we're trying to bring is beyond the actual city councilor. We're going to have to make sure that stakeholders are not only interested in engaging for brand alignment, but are making critical steps. However, what they bring to the table is only going to be as impactful as what the community needs. And so also having that experience on the ground, I can galvanize individuals to be a self-advocating community. So we can partner with stakeholders and those who live on the ground throughout all of our streets to make sure that we can develop solutions to move the marker on a number of disparities that we're interested in.
Well, draw a line between your experience with the citywide parent council and some of the concerns right now about the Boston schools. The city's spending more money out of its own budget for the schools, but there are still these programs being cut and some issues out there about getting enough diversity among the teachers. What would you see yourself doing?
I would see myself as a convener to make sure that we educate all parties on what's needed, but also we, again, bring together the best ideas in regards to how do we actually make sure that individuals are interested in being in the system. The truth is that whatever system that we're talking about in regards to building quality education, we have to reinvigorate the students' love for learning. If they don't have that love for learning, they're not going to have a love for the profession, and that's pretty simple. Those are things that we can do to make sure that we cultivate the next generation of diverse teachers.
When you say increasing that love of learning, does that mean maybe bringing more people from the community into the schools, some mentoring connections, or you're thinking of something else maybe?
No, mentoring is a good part, but also some of the innovation that's happening right on the ground. There is the Fab Lab in Dorchester, who's doing a lot of the work that Mel King started way back when, and a lot of that energy can be brought into the schools. At my son's school, we made sure that we partnered with a local bank to help with the school supplies, and they do help with a number of community events. So a young person who has a good relationship with a banker might be interested in finance and banking simply because someone came by and helped at an event that we needed help on. And so we can look at those different stakeholders on the local level and figure out small ways that they can have a huge impact.
This is BNN News. We're talking with the candidate for City Council in District 7, Angelina Camacho. Angelina, you've been also concerned about the housing problem, and in District 7, this is mainly people who are getting squeezed out financially. What would you like to see done about that?
We have to balance the housing stock. I really do challenge our approach to we'll build it and they will come. The fact is that when we have a number of our millennial community members who are just 2, 3 in a unit that could really go to a family, their only option being something that's super expensive, even though it's modern, but it's still very expensive, they're not going to move out. They're going to stay where they can in order to make sure that they can stabilize. And I really feel that our young people who have just graduated from college should be able to have exciting opportunities that they can actually afford so that these units can be made available for families. I think that we can do a better job with negotiating with homeowners, providing opportunities to do some type of return on investment if they keep their rents at a certain level, not necessarily rent control, but if they do agree to keep their rents within a certain level, maybe there's some accommodations that we could have within the city coffers to maybe add some security systems, etc., so that there's more of a connected neighborhood focus on public safety without necessarily adding more police on the street. I'm not necessarily for or against adding more police, but I do believe that it's more about relationships and all of us taking I would say a very intentional look at how we can be part of the solution.
One more housing question. Would you support just cause eviction to give tenants more protection from displacement?
They absolutely need more protection against displacement. The idea that a landlord can just simply decide that the market is hot enough for them to get more money and therefore adjust someone's lease to an affordable cost, or just decide that they want to cancel a lease because they have the right to do so in the clause, actually isn't fair to those who work every day, very hard, sometimes 2 and 3 jobs, to be able to stay in our neighborhoods.
As far as public safety, all the categories of violent crime, it's going down, but shootings are up this year. The last time I looked was like 30%. What's the missing piece here?
Youth opportunity. The opportunities, not just for our young people, but our young adults, is missing. And that's one of the things that I happen to be honored to be a part of. I actually worked with my agency to create the Youth Engaged in Action program. We focus on 13-year-olds and provide a critical out-of-school time opportunity. The biggest issues happen between 10 and 3. That lack of opportunity spills throughout the remainder of the day because our economy, the walls that are closing in our families are touching our children, are touching our young adults, and as they lose hope, they start picking up these weapons of mass destruction, and it's not just the guns, it's their anger, their angst around their future. And I think that we're missing the mark when we just focus on the guns. It's what is incentivizing someone to turn around and not love one another, not respect one another, not have that love for the fabric of the community that we once had. I mean, we had fights when we were younger, but we were talking about fists and knives. To be so angry to pick up something and just immediately take someone's life is so mind-altering to me that it's beyond the actual tool, but it's about the opportunities we have to put in place to prevent those tools from being used.
We should finally mention that you have a Facebook page with some more information about the campaign?
Absolutely. I am Angie Camacho on Facebook. I'm also Camacho for Community on Twitter, and you can also find me on Instagram as well.
Thank you very much for being with us. Candidate for City Council in District 7, Angelina Camacho. In a moment, lifting a barrier to voter participation, but first, this message.